Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about AI and the effect it is having on our lives. Is it weakening our connections to other people? How can we strengthen? What can we do differently? Let's get started. Listeners, today we are talking about AI and how automation and AI are stripping away the tiny, spontaneous human moments in our daily lives and what effect that is having on us. And if you just listen to me say that sentence and have no idea what I'm talking about, don't fear, because I'm turning this over to Julie, and she's going to explain what we're talking about today.
Well, actually, Mindy kind of came up threw this idea out, and then I just started digging in and found a bunch of stuff. So I think it's a good topic. And I think it's one of those things that maybe you don't notice. Like there's a lot of benefits to human interactions and just really small ones. And then when they're gone, maybe we'll notice it. So I think it's one of those kind of things. Like it's not something that's maybe on your radar right now, but I do think it's probably having an impact on people. Since COVID, we're more isolated and spend less time in person, more time online anyway. And then you take away little interactions at the bank or the grocery or the restaurant. That can't be helping things.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Mindy, I know that you heard, I think it was a radio program about this. So what appealed to you about it?
Yes, I just happened to be on my way to the gym. I had about 5 minutes. I was listening to the Joy FM, and they were talking about how society had changed. We'd moved to having more things automated, and how it seemed to be affecting people's happiness because they were having less of those small conversations, at the coffee shop or the grocery store or whatever. And it was equated to people's happiness. And so it really just kind of stuck in my mind. So I even came home and I was talking to Bryce about it. And one of the things we both wondered is it causation or is it correlation? Is it, that these conversations are causing us to be happier? Or are these conversations then in turn making us happier? So I'm very interested. I love the questions that Julie came up with and the digging that she did. So really looking forward to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said, "Oh, I don't really like the small chit chat at the grocery. I just want to
Mhm.
go in and out and all of that."
Right.
But once you lose your spouse, you lose half your social interaction
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even more than half.
Right.
And so I think I find myself engaging in conversation with the cashier and the teller and the clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I feel like that is more meaningful, and I've kind of been surprised. Like you think, oh, people
Mhm.
don't want to talk, but I think they really do.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually love that you brought that up, Julie, because I was thinking about the times in life where those small conversations have meant the world to me, and it's when my world has changed.
Hmm.
And so that's in terms of like right now, I would say empty nesting is definitely a time I'm finding a lot more happiness in just interacting with people because my house is more quiet. So I'm looking forward to those conversations.
Right. Right.
And then the other time though, it has been significant is any time I've moved when you're in a place and you don't know anybody and you're living in a whole new environment, that's how you learn to navigate your new world is
Mhm.
by talking at the grocery store, going to, a new grocery store, a new gas station, a new coffee shop, a new gym, and those are your only interactions. You don't know anybody yet. And so that really is how you start to develop your new world is with
Mhm.
all of these little, sometimes what might seem insignificant conversations.
Yeah. And you'll hear us use the term weak ties. I think we've talked about that
Mhm.
before in another episode. I'd never really heard that phrase before, but those are like those are the connections you have with people that aren't really your closest friends, your family. They're just the people in your world, like waiters and tellers and grocery clerks and the
Yeah.
mailman, and even just people in your neighborhood that you pass walking your dog. Um, that's what we're referring to when you hear weak ties.
So just an example, like you might start your morning out by ordering your coffee on an app, and then you might scan your groceries at the self-checkout, and then you might chat with a customer service bot to correct a shipping error, and then you might order your lunch at a local restaurant through a kiosk. And so all those things where you would have normally had to talk to someone, you're not having to talk to someone. And if you order from the same coffee shop every morning, over time, if you were talking to someone in person, they would learn your order, you would greet them, you'd probably find out something about them. But because you're doing it through an app, you could go years and never even know who is making your coffee or have
Yeah,
any
yeah,
interaction with them. They could write your name on an order every day, but they don't even know who you are.
right.
Yes.
It all feels very transactional, like I give you this, you give me that. And there's nothing personal, nothing exchanged. It just feels kind of cold and
Mhm.
Right.
robotic, no pun
Right.
intended.
And literally, this could be a very interesting generational conversation. If we had, our parents, our grandparents, if we had our kids, our grandkids, that were able to talk and kind of feed into this conversation, this is something I would have teased an older generation about. Like,
Mhm.
I would have been like, "Ugh, you're worried about losing personal contact? I'm just trying to get my groceries." And like the grocery store was the biggest havoc and the biggest difficulty when my kids were young. And I would have begged for someone to please deliver my groceries so I don't have to take them to the store. And it wasn't so much about interacting, it was just surviving.
Surviving.
Mhm.
Yeah, get in, get out without any disasters or yeah.
Yes.
But even
Yes.
though that's why I'm not thinking, like, we're not here to criticize the
Yeah.
technology, but I think it is kind of tricking us into choosing that convenience. And it's like without considering the cost. Like maybe there is a
Right.
cost, you know. Think of all those lessons learned in the grocery store.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, not that you intentionally choose them now, but your kids had to learn to wait and you had to compromise and you had to be patient and maybe you
Mhm.
threw in a little math lesson in the grocery cart.
I said, those were the good moms, Julie. The ones trying to also teach a lesson. You sound like a homeschool mom to me.
I'm not talking about toddlers. I'm talking about maybe, older kids.
It's time to learn to budget.
Well, what do you think are the positive benefits to these micro interactions that form weak ties encounters? So, what do you think is the positive benefit to talking to the checkout clerk or the person getting your coffee? Okay, so Mindy, you always say that you make a friend at the gym. I could have a million micro conversations with people at the gym and I'm still not going to make a friend. Like I've never made a friend at the gym. So, I don't know that they ever turn into anything more than a micro encounter. And they don't necessarily have to. They can be
I don't think they
valuable
have to.
just for
Mhm.
themselves, but what is the value?
Well, I think these are the benefits that you don't notice until they're gone. It's one of those things. Like, what do you do all day? You can't explain that, but if you didn't do it, you'd know.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of the effect that maybe it would have. Like Mindy already said, it affects your happiness. Now, you wouldn't say, my happiness is dependent on chit chatting with the grocery
Mhm.
clerk and all that.
Yeah.
But, you know, happiness still comes from eye contact,
Mhm.
embodied human presence, people, not simulated experiences, human touch.
Mhm.
Humans can convey love and empathy and comfort, and machines most definitely do not. Now, the key here
Mhm.
is not all humans do either.
Right.
Right.
So sometimes a robot is more pleasant than a human, but you're certainly not going to get those kind of things, those emotions from a robot. So I think that's important.
I
Mhm.
know. I love being able to spread joy, like, not in like a on a T-shirt kind of quality, but
Mhm.
but it seriously, genuinely, to be able to actually see someone at their job who is working. I have an opportunity to go see those people, and it's a part of our lives that we don't get to curate. If we're in person, you don't choose who you're talking to. You're not choosing who you interact with. You get in a random line and you get a random person. And so I think, every other part of our lives right now, we're pretty much able to curate and protect and make some sort of bubble as to who we determine we're going to interact with. And I like that you don't curate these people. It's a random selection of the population from all different walks of life. And so to be able to come into contact with somebody at their place of work and try to, see them and offer them a smile. I mean, it doesn't have to be, this grand gesture. It's kindness. It's, I see you, thank you, and have a great day. It's quick, it's simple, and it's small but very, very meaningful, I think.
Yeah, I think these kind of low stakes positive interactions, like nodding to people, just smiling, asking how their day is, whatever, just kind of reminds you that we're part of something bigger, like a
Mhm,
community, a neighborhood, whatever, makes us feel like we belong. And I think
mhm.
that's really important. Everybody wants to feel that. And I don't think that automation makes you feel like you belong to anything, like,
Mhm.
human interaction reminds you, like, we're all in this together,
Mhm.
Right.
Even if you're kind of jokingly commiserating with someone, like,
Sure.
about the long day or the weather or difficult people, whatever, it's a connection. In looking at this topic, I came across this phrase, paradox of help. And apparently, sociologists are already studying this and warning us about this, that every time we trade a human exchange for digital efficiency, we're quietly deleting our weak ties. There are instances where I think AI is more efficient, it is helpful, but at what cost? And I think that was their point. I think
Mhm.
it's human nature that we would choose the easiest way, the path of least resistance. We want convenience and efficiency. But I can also argue that I don't think AI has provided that yet.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
to me, it can be pretty frustrating to not be able to speak to a human on the phone.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's just asking us to be ready, be more aware of the cost or the toll. And
Mhm.
I think this was a really good point that Mindy kind of already made, was that it allows us to kind of skip real world friction, that comes with human interaction. Our worlds are so curated. We don't have to talk to difficult people. We don't have to talk to unhappy people. We don't
Mhm.
have to talk
Mhm.
to anybody that we don't want to in an online world or whatever. I don't know. We have to be losing some skills by not doing that, I think,
Mhm.
and teaching our children that. If you have young children, so I think that's important.
I always choose speak to a representative or speak to a person. I
Right.
don't wanna tell my problem to the AI bot on the phone and then have them not be able to help me anyways, and then I've gotta wait or, like, I just don't even wanna deal with it, but I know that, for younger generations, they really don't wanna speak to someone, so they probably would have to make a conscious choice if they were looking to strengthen weak ties to do the harder thing in their minds, which is to talk to the
Hmm.
person, where it seems harder to me to try to get this robot to try to understand what I'm wanting, you know?
Right.
Oh, and I hate it when the robot they're trying to act so human that you hear background noises, like maybe children, or have you noticed that? Like, some of the
Yeah.
calls seem like they have fake background noises to make you think that
Really?
yes, yes, and they're like, "Hello there," and they're, say your name, and it's so personable, and it just gags me.
Well, it's funny because I called Home Depot to do a price match last week, and at the end of the conversation, I almost wasn't sure. I thought I had been talking to a real person, but the end of
Mhm,
the conversation, I kinda thought maybe I'd not been talking to a real person because they kept on saying the same phrasing over and over again, and I know that can be training and customer service,
mhm.
but it was almost like saying it over and over again without changing anything, and at the end, I thought, "I wonder if that was a real person." I wanted to ask,
Oh,
"Is this a real person?" But
are
then I
you
felt like
real?
that would be s
Are you real?
I know. It is funny to hear the 3 of us talk about this because we are in the middle. We are in the middle
Uh-huh.
of 2 very different and unique generations. The older generation, whereas I would have made fun of, like, "You're so worried about not having personal touch with a person." I'm like, "Please give me less personal touch with people at some point." But
Mhm,
now I'm concerned about it, and my children absolutely choosing the automated, the order it, the walk in, the grab, the whatever, and we're right here in the middle.
Yeah, I was just talking to my son last night briefly. He bought a car and he hadn't put it on his insurance yet. And I said, "Oh, well, you can just call and leave a message on their machine, and that counts. For like if it was the weekend and you bought it or something."
Mhm.
And
Right.
he goes, "What do you mean you just call and leave a message?" I said, "Well, like with the agent." And he goes, "No one I know my age has an agent." And that's so funny because I think that probably is true. And yet I couldn't pick my insurance agent out of a lineup if someone said, "Which one is he?" I have no idea. But I've talked to him once or twice a year for the last 10 years on the phone to add a
Yeah.
kid, take off a kid, ask him about what he thought I should do about my roof, ask him if he thought I should claim this when my kid hits something. And I was thinking about that last night. Like, I remember my son-in-law was told that they needed to get a new roof and to file with insurance. And I think he just called to ask some questions of like Progressive or one of those places. And because he had called, it automatically opened a claim. And I've said so many times to my insurance agent over the years, like, "Oh, I'm calling to ask you a question, but is that gonna make me open a claim?" He's like, "No, you can ask a question." But I don't think you can ask a question of some of these other ones. You just get a random customer service and you asked a question about opening a claim and they open one. And so he went through with getting a new roof, but it was kinda like, well, I might as well now because either way, it's saying that I have a claim. So, like, there
Mm.
can be advantages to maybe having an insurance agent or a real person to ask advice of.
Yeah, I like having the
Yes.
person. I go to church with my person. Like, he would see me and ask me about things, and, he says, "Hello, Julie," when I call, and I can call him anytime. I mean, he actually answers the phone, not even the secretary. Most of the time, he answers the phone, and
Right.
I really like that.
Well, another situation, I don't know if you guys have dealt with this or not, with your kids dating. We have 3 sons that are unattached. Just putting that out there.
Okay.
I can post a picture later if I need to. No, I'm kidding. But it was so funny for Bryce and I to sit back and listen to them talk about asking a girl out because literally one of them basically said, "There's no way I would ask in person. That's way too much. That's not how you do it. You actually text them." I was like, "What? There is no way that I would say yes to a date by text."
Right.
You know what I mean? And then there's some of my other boys are like, "No, I'd be okay asking in person, but she needs to be alone. She can't be with friends. Like, it
Which
can't
is
be in groups."
understandable.
I'm like, but yeah, the fear and intrepidation to even talk in person and ask a girl on a date. I mean, I just can't imagine our younger generation trying to do some of these major life decision choice things, you know, and including their phone.
Well, just texting in general has removed a lot of the person to person.
Mhm.
My kids will say, "Oh, yeah, I talked to so and so about such and such." And it's kind of like a heavy issue. And then later in the conversation, when we're talking about how it went or something, I find out it was by text. I'm like,
Yes.
how well could that other person have understood you and you understand them? I mean, text for me is fine for a funny story or communicating information, but I'm not going to probably talk about like a big issue where I'd really like to hear the person's tone of voice and maybe even see their
Mhm.
facial expression or I don't know, at least tone of voice, I think.
And yet with them, that word is already interchangeable. I talked with them.
Yes, that's what
I
I mean.
texted. Yeah.
It's true. The amount of times Bryce and I have said, "That sounds more like a phone call." Like, those words have come out of our mouth so many times, and the kids are like, "Yeah, no, that's not how we do things."
When you're not met with a lot of negativity or pushback from automation, then it
Mhm.
probably makes it harder to deal with real people because you are gonna get those things. You're gonna get
Right.
moods and attitudes and things
I
that
know.
your automation doesn't give you. So, yeah.
Because even as we record this, we always record by video, and Marie is is recording our audio to post later for the podcast, but we're looking at each other so we can see each other's faces. Because
Mhm.
when you're in a conversation, to really communicate with somebody, it's hard enough, but at least like watching their face, their eyes, their body language, the nodding of their head, you can tell if they're distracted. Have I lost your attention? I'm not talking about you guys, but when you're talking to someone and you can tell they are not there. And so there's so much to be said about eyes, faces, eyebrows, all these facial movements that the Lord has put in us to be able to read a person and really connect with them, not just by talking, but by interacting, the whole conversation, the whole person.
Mhm.
I also think it's kind of exclusionary to older people, and I'm talking about older than myself. Um, I heard a woman talking about this, that if you don't have an iPhone, you really can't live in the world anymore. You can't
Oh,
order, you can't. I know, at Panera, they have the kiosk,
Mhm.
and that's a
oh,
place my mom likes to go, and she just wouldn't probably be able to do that because she doesn't have an iPad at home, so it's not something she's familiar with. And I've actually been in there sometimes when I usually choose the human, going up to the counter, but there have been times where they say, "We're not taking orders in person." So,
Mm.
right,
Mhm.
if you were 80, you might just have to walk out, or hopefully you'd
right.
ask for help and some nice person would help you.
Mhm.
But I think
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think I guess it'll finally get to a world where no one's excluded because we'll all know how to do that, but, right
Mhm.
now,
Mhm.
not everybody in the world does.
Well, that kind of brings up, one, you could help someone that you see struggling. And
Yeah.
two, I mean, this is an extremely weak tie. I never met this person in my life, but how a person being willing to talk to me yesterday really helped me and will continue to help me in the future. So Kroger, they always have these digital deals, and you have to take a picture of the little QR code, and then it somehow communicates with your app, and I can never get good reception in there. So I'm trying to
Mm.
take a picture, and this was in the produce, which is right by the front door, and I'm down on my, like, squatted down because the QR code's kind of low too, and you got to
Right.
aim it. And this woman comes up to me and she goes, I just learned this. She goes, but did you know that you can scan like a flyer at the self checkout when you go through and you don't have to do each individual QR code? And I said, really? And she took
So it
me,
includes them all.
yeah, she took me right over because we were right by the, entrance, right over to where they have the flyers. And she said, just put this in your cart. And then when you go through, and that was so helpful. It was a total week
Yeah.
time moment. Just someone
Right.
in, shopping in my local Kroger being willing to have a conversation and show me something that she had just learned. And now I won't have to be squatted down on my hands and knees trying to do these stupid QR codes and hope I,
That's great.
Yeah.
yeah. And I thought, wow,
What a time saver.
that's really going to save me some
Save your
time.
back.
Now, I do have to laugh because I think about those Progressive commercials where it says, "We can't help you from becoming your parents,"
Oh,
like
Oh,
the guy
those are
that
so
they're
funny.
so funny because, they wanna talk to everybody, and they wanna share
Yes.
helpful advice with everybody, and that's what makes me think
Oh,
she was
this
doing, but that was so nice, and if she'd been on her phone and been, you know, drowning in her phone, she wouldn't have noticed that you needed help. Like, I think that's a really good example of she was present in the store.
right. Because do you guys, if you're talking to one of your kids or whatever, do you let them go or put them on pause when you go to check out with the person? Um,
I mean, I theoretically do it if
I
I'm with
tried
a
to,
with
yes.
a cashier, but not if I'm at self checkout.
right,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. When, like, if you're with a person, I know I definitely feel that too. Like, I feel, that I need to engage and look
Mhm.
at them and check out and everything, and also try to talk to my kid. But I'm like, just hang on just a second and try to have a
Yeah.
little interaction.
Yeah.
Sometimes if if it's a kid, I know that probably this conversation will not be continued if I hang up. I will put my finger up
Yes.
and mouth sorry to the cashier. But I know
Yes.
I'll lose my window if I call back and
I
they won't
feel
answer.
that it's so
Yeah.
true, Marie. It's so true. I've apologized before too. I'm like, "I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. It's the only time this kid can talk.
I've done it
I'm
both ways, yep.
begging for their attention, and this is what they give me, so I'm taking it." They have trained me very well.
Julie, you had a question that was, how do you think that this weakening of weak ties affects midlife women specifically?
In midlife, our social networks are shifting naturally, where
Mhm.
kids are leaving, like you
Mhm.
said, your house is a lot quieter. You're
Yeah.
probably using less words than you would have if all your kids were home.
Yes.
It can be lonely.
Mhm.
People are staying at home more. Maybe you work remotely. There's just a lot of
Mhm.
things about midlife that would kind of push us towards isolation or loneliness. And
Mhm.
then eliminating all these interactions, could have an impact or create like kind of a
Mhm.
deficit of human interaction. So that's just why I brought that up.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is so, so true. Everything you said right there is so accurate. Those small conversations really mean the world. Like a lot of those interactions mean so much more to me just this week now that Nathan's gone. I've noticed that I'm much more aware. I'm missing him. It is lonelier. It is quieter. And so I think anybody that is alone more often or as your world kind of gets smaller, that which could naturally happen as we age. Getting out and talking to people makes you feel a part of the world, and it really does help make you feel like you're not so alone. And so I love that. I mean, I even know a lot of women that come to workout class at the gym. That's their main interaction during the day is that one group fitness class because a lot of
Mhm.
them work from home.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so to be able to have, get a workout and have interaction, they go to the gym to a fitness class. So just finding ways to interact so that you're just not so alone. It's hard to kind of go through all day after day and not see very many people or have very many conversations.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I like the idea of, I think this concept is called kind of being a recognized regular. I think one of you's
Mhm.
already mentioned it. Like if you only interact with an app, that app's never going to learn your face and your name and how many kids you have and where they go to school and
Mhm.
all of that. And it makes me think of that song from Cheers, where everybody knows your name because
Oh,
everybody wants
yeah.
that. And I had a kind of an experience with that. This wasn't in a good way, but it was. I did appreciate it when John was sick. I was at the West Haven Kroger pharmacy every single day, and the same pharmacist was there every day. And he got to know why I was there, what was going on, with John, and there was just so much empathy and concern. And even after John passed away, he'd see me. I wasn't coming to the pharmacy anymore, but I'd be circling the frozen food section, and he'd wave and or call me over. How are you doing? Like that was. I appreciated that because I wouldn't have got that going through the drive-through. I'm glad there
Mm-mm.
wasn't a drive-through. Like I had to go into
Yeah.
the store, but um that's meaningful,
Mhm.
when people can check up on you and know what's going on
Mhm.
beyond the surface.
Right.
And I wouldn't have gotten that at some other places.
Yeah, I was thinking about the dermatologist office. I've been taking my kids and myself to the same one since they were little. Went through all the teenage Accutane years. You have to go once a month. Like, I don't know, you've just seen them. And like whenever I walk in to that area, even if it's been a whole year, because now I don't need to go every month, they always ask about, like the secretary, she always asks about each one of them. Oh my goodness, where are they graduating from college? I can't. Like, that's what you
Oh.
gain from having conversations with the same people over and over again,
Mhm.
that I wouldn't have necessarily gained by making my appointment online. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
and then
yeah,
also when you call with a concern, they have a face with a name and they tend to fit you in. And like, that's just
yeah,
how the
Mhm.
world works. If someone knows kind of who you are and they're familiar with you, and that makes them want to help you more.
Mhm.
yeah, and just having been nice to them,
Yeah.
they're gonna be inclined to wanna help you.
Yeah, I know an
Yeah.
added benefit. I was thinking about a benefit of when those small conversations are really actually crucial and comforting, or at least another season. But sometimes if you're in a really hard season, a season that's just very, very difficult, and the people that are around you know that, and so the conversations that you're having are heavy, they're hard, they're deep, they're emotionally exhausting. Sometimes it's a gift to just go to places where you're just having those weak tie conversations. They don't really know you. They don't know you're struggling. They don't know that you're walking through something really difficult, and they treat you just like a normal person.
Mhm.
Sometimes that can really be a comfort to just because
Mhm.
you don't want to isolate, but maybe it's just hard to just you want to feel normal. And by being able to have a 2-minute conversation, here and there with people that don't really know, that is such a gift in certain seasons of life.
Mhm.
Mhm. And having been on the receiving end of those kind of conversations, it's made me more aware of how I can minister to other people. You know, if somebody's grumpy, not taking offense at that and think, I have no idea what is really going on in their life,
Mhm.
and they may be having a terrible day and just, I don't know, trying to spread a little joy, a little conversation, even a compliment. And I mean, a sincere one, not just
Mhm.
I do that every time, but sometimes when people just kind of have their head down and I say something, a compliment or whatever, they almost look surprised, like,
Mhm.
"Oh,
Mm,
she's
mhm.
talking to me."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then they just open up and start talking, and it's like, wow, I just don't think that they get that from a lot of people,
Mhm.
and they kinda get in that mode of like, I'll just be quiet, do my job, and they really do
Right.
wanna talk, and you haven't if they don't, you haven't hurt anything by trying.
Right.
Um, and I will say, one of my favorite places to shop is Trader Joe's for lots of reasons. But my absolute favorite reason is that there is not one single self-checkout line in the whole store. In fact, the next time I go there, I'm gonna start talking to them because who knows, it could be in the works. And I'm gonna say, "Please, if you wanna ruin this store, then put self-checkouts in here." Because
Julie's coming.
that because it is the best part, like, they are so well trained, they are the happiest people.
They are.
They
Yeah.
always say, "What plans do you have for the weekend? What are you doing tonight? What are you
Uh-huh.
cooking with this?" And every item that comes across, they're like, "Oh, this is my favorite thing. Have you ever mixed it with this or done this?" And it's like I always leave with some new recipe or
Mhm.
I don't know, that is to me, that is the best part of shopping there.
I feel the worst when I have to mouth "sorry," and I still have to be on
Oh,
the
to
cell
them?
phone if I'm in the Trader Joe's. I don't feel so bad
Uh-oh.
about, like, the teenage girl at Kroger who really doesn't care if I'm going through, but the Trader
Right.
Joe's person, I just feel like I'm ruining their day that I'm on the
I
phone.
know.
Oh, that's what they came to work for.
It is.
I had the sweetest interaction at Publix the other day, and it was so timely. And it was a teenage girl who was checking me out and a teenage boy who was bagging my groceries. And I was so proud of whoever their parents are because these kids knew how to engage and have a conversation, and they were both so kind and polite. But I was buying all of this stuff. I mean, you could tell we were about to have a big house party, and that's what we were doing. All but one of my kids was home. It was the night before we were moving into, UGA, and we were throwing a big party. And so as there she's checking me out, and she's just talking about, "Oh, wow, this looks so good. What are you doing? Wow, you must be having a party." And then the boy chimes in, "Wow, I'd love to have that." And I was telling her about, how we're about to move the youngest to college, and everybody's cooking something special, and they were just both so delightful to share my joy of this party and the ending this season with Nathan, and I just thought, "Wow, way to go, younger generation."
That's cute.
I know, I was just coming through Chick-fil-A. Of course, Chick-fil-A employees, you do expect a little
Right.
more from them, but I had gone with a friend to, kayak about 2 hours away, and we were, at a Chick-fil-A in that town, and, he said, "What are you guys up to?" And at first I was like, "What do you mean? We're just getting food at Chick-fil-A." And he was like, "No, what are you gonna go do today?" And he said, "Well, we just got back from kayaking and we're headed back home." "Where's home?" Nashville. Nashville? You live in Nashville? You came all the way here
Oh.
to kayak? And he had never heard of the place that we went kayaking. We said, it's right down the road. So he goes, let me write that down. I want to go see it. And it was just funny. He seemed truly interested in what we
Oh.
were doing.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good. All right. Can you think of any strategies to rebuild our weak ties? If a listener is listening to this and thinking, I probably should make some changes. Julie, you found a 7-day challenge. What was that about?
Yeah, I read a lot about, how to combat this, and it said, we probably can't just think about this. This is not something we can think our way out of. We're going to actually have to do something. So there were 7 things, and I just wrote them all down. I mean, they suggested trying one a day, and then there was a point of action, and then you could track it. Like, did I do this? But I just thought it'd be good to kind of keep these 7 in mind. The first one was they had cute names for them, the counterculture, which means ban the app. Go up to the counter and order. Now I will say that I still don't want to go into a bank. So I have already cut that weak tie with the teller. I've cut that years ago because I don't like going into banks.
Sorry to all tellers out there.
You're on your own.
Never going to meet Julie.
No. So only have to go in a bank if I absolutely have to. But yeah, so I usually do that. Like you said, Marie, I'm always choosing the real person over, the kiosk or the app, whatever. I don't even do the Chick-fil-A app. Do y'all do that?
Yes.
Because you get points. I know you get points.
All the time.
Yes.
But I go in to get it. Say, hey.
I mean, here's a weak tie, Julie, that you could be choosing the real person. So I return things to the UPS store all the time, my Amazon stuff. And I didn't even know that you could do it without interacting with them. And they're kind of encouraging people to do it without interacting with them. But
What
I
do you
would
do?
much rather stand in the line and just have them scan it.
Yes.
There's a little kiosk there that you
Yeah.
can do your thing.
Scan your own bag, put it,
but
yeah.
they're just, I mean, the UPS store that I go to, it's the same people and they're super nice and they're helpful about
On 96, the one?
on 96,
Yeah.
and they're super helpful. And if I haven't packaged it just right, they're like, no worries, we'll take care of it. And they
Yeah.
answer all my questions. Like, why would I want to go through the kiosk when they're so nice?
I have you.
I feel like that's a place where I walk in and I'm a regular. Like, if I have cut weak ties by ordering through Amazon, I'm making them up by returning at UPS.
There you go. Seriously.
They're like, here she is again. I mean, I go in there every week. So
Keeping them in business.
yeah.
All right. So you're saying ban the app, choose the real person, choose the human lane, don't use the kiosk.
Yeah. The next one was the human lane, which was, I guess, referring to self checkouts at groceries. The next one was the noticeable stranger. Compliment. Notice something small about someone. Like I said, I've been trying to be more intentional to do this, and people really seem receptive. It's kind of been fun.
Yeah, it is fun. They do light up. You'll notice ladies' nails, or a change in hairdo or something fun, even on their Target uniform that they have to wear, that they'll have some sort of personality.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I want to put in a
Yeah.
plug for this one if you have a dog. So I took my dog to run some errands yesterday because she really enjoys that. And everywhere we went, she gets so many compliments and they want to know what kind of dog she is. And they ask if they can pet her and then they compliment her some more. And then they're saying, oh, you can smell my dog. And, like just all these things about the dog. And it really opens up conversation with people.
It does.
Like we have Going Postal in our neighborhood. And I know that I could probably take my thing to the post office and mail it. I know I probably pay a little bit extra to mail my package from Going Postal, like if I have to send something to my daughter or something. But I'd rather go to Going Postal because they know me, they know Clara, they are in my neighborhood. I want to support them. But also the ladies are just so nice. Like I had to send a belt to Lauren that she forgot and left at home. I probably paid more sending it than she paid for the belt, but she asked me to send it, so I did. But anyways, they're like, oh, and we already have Lauren's address in the system, but oh, wait, no, you wrote down a different one. Now, did she move? Oh, let's get that new one in there. Like, it's like they get to know you, and that's that becomes a stronger tie because they remember your dog, they remember your kid, they remember, like
Yeah.
it's nice to have those interactions. And that is, I think, like the noticeable thing. So if you have like a dog, it could open up a lot of conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, you become very noticeable with the dog. All right, the next one was look up and acknowledge, and this makes me think of that lady in the store, Marie. She wasn't, on her phone maybe, she was present in the store, and I think it said
Mhm.
to keep your phone away in public spaces, and I thought
Mhm.
about, like when you're waiting in a line, that's kind of the tendency is just pull out your phone, or you're sitting in
Mhm.
a waiting room, pull it out to look at it. But that kinda says, "Don't speak to me," it cuts you off from any interaction.
Yeah, and that's really important. I will say that, like, if you're bored in a line or waiting for something to start, your first instinct really is to pull out your
Mhm.
phone, and it's hard to fight that instinct,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it
It
does shut
is.
down conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you know who to talk to, if you're sitting in a waiting room and there's somebody on their phone and somebody not, not to say anything.
Right.
They've given the
It's gonna
clear
be someone
signal.
my dad's age that doesn't have his phone out.
Yeah, true. Okay, the next one was the, in quotes, "regular ritual." So, visit an anchor spot maybe at the same time every day or the same day of the week or whatever. Linger there. This could be like going to the farmer's market every Wednesday or going to the coffee shop once a week.
Mhm.
Using the same grocery. I know I usually go to Aldi in the morning on a certain day, and I'm almost always have the same checker, the same woman.
Mhm.
And I feel like we've kind of I certainly know her. I don't know if she remembers me, but I know her. And I like the thought of that, like I said earlier, kind of becoming where, they might notice if you haven't been in a month or whatever, because you do it regularly. The next one was the voice reconnect. So replace a text with a call. So like say somebody says, "Hey, do you want to walk or get coffee?" You might respond with a phone call instead of a
Mhm.
text.
Mhm.
That's a scary departure from protocol, Julie.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, I have a friend who's moving, and I thought about her last night about 8 o'clock, so I just called her.
Mhm.
And I said,
How
"Hey,"
invasive.
I said, I know. I said, "I know you probably have a million things going on. I was just checking on you. Can you talk?" And she said, "Sure." And we talked for like 10 minutes, and then she had
Mm.
to go. But I just wanted to hear her voice, like, "Are you okay?" Because I
Oh,
knew it was going to be a rough day. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. So I think you can always say, if you can't talk, call me back. You know,
Right.
mhm, mhm,
yeah. The last one was the lingering small talk. And this just said, choose the friction of casual conversation. And I guess example of this for me was an experience that I just had. I do Walmart delivery. Not for everything because I still go to Aldi and Trader Joe's, but like if it's heavy stuff, like I have to buy distilled water
Mm.
for my mom's CPAP, and I like to get 4 gallons, and I don't want to have to carry those. So like I
Mhm.
get those delivered and stuff like that. The delivery driver just drops them off at the door. I put porch drop off, and
Mm.
I thought, I am going to start choosing the other option where you meet them at the door
Mm.
because I had a really good experience with this. Well, listen to this story. I had ordered some. I needed chicken for dinner that night, so I had paid the $5 extra to get early. I needed it like in 2 hours instead of waiting.
mhm,
And as they're shopping, a substitution comes up, and it was gonna be like half the amount of chicken, like, they didn't have the package size that I wanted. And I said, "Oh, that's fine to substitute, but I'm gonna need 2 then, like, that one's not gonna be enough." And he said, "Oh, just add it on the app, and I'll be happy to get it for you." Well, the app said it was too late to
Mm.
add anything. So this is
mhm,
where the whole
Mhm.
robot thing just doesn't understand all that
right,
could happen. So I said, "Well, I really need, like, that chicken for tonight, and I'll have to go to the grocery. That was the whole point of me ordering for the delivery." And so he said, "Well, how about I buy it and you just pay me back?" And I started thinking, "Well, is this legitimate?" So he said, "I don't have Venmo, I have Zelle." And then I started kind of questioning whether this was right or not. So I just said, "Never mind, no, thank you." Well, then he said, "How about I buy it on my credit card, and then you just pay me in the tip?"
Hmm.
And I just didn't respond because I just didn't know what to say to that. So he
Julie.
This is getting very weird.
well, I didn't know if that was, like, legal. I didn't know if Walmart would be happy with that.
Yes,
So
yes.
he so he
Oh.
delivers it, and that little pack of chicken had his own Visa receipt on it. It was
Oh,
$10. And so I went back and changed my tip and added, the $10 to cover the chicken, and I gave him more.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought that made me wish that I had met him at the door, but I had checked just drop off. So I thought he
that was really
really,
nice of him.
yeah. So I gave
Y
him a 5-star review and all that. But that would be, he needed to hear a personal thank you so much.
Yes.
Well,
He really went above and beyond.
he stepped out in faith that you were gonna pay him.
I
That's
know.
amazing,
I
though.
know.
That's really cool.
I couldn't believe it. So see, he was trying to correct a problem because it was technology that was causing the problem, but people tend
Right.
to get upset with people,
Mhm.
like it was his fault, and
Yes.
it really wasn't gonna be his fault, but
Mhm.
so I appreciate that he
Right.
made it right.
Mhm.
Aw.
I really like the lingering small talk. My kids
Mhm.
hate when I do the lingering small talk. But, like, I like lingering small talk. So, we
Mhm.
were on
Me too.
vacation and the we were one of 2 families in the pool. And they had a little girl around the same age as my granddaughter's age, and they were playing together, and I thought, "This is very logical that we would then have a conversation." So we start talking, turns out they're from Thompson Station, which is right down the road, like, we find out what their business is and, like, I find out why they're there and what they're doing this week, and
I can see your kids
oh,
cringing,
I
yes.
know. Every time I glance over at my kids, they're trying to get further and further away from
Oh
me so I
my
don't draw
goodness.
them into the conversation, and
Yes.
afterwards, they're like, "Why did you keep on talking?" But, like, if you can't have a lingering small talk conversation in a pool on vacation, when can you have a lingering small talk conversation? Like, I don't know. You would never have one then. Like, I like the
Yeah.
and I just have to put in a word about Julie's husband, John. He was the king of lingering small talk conversation. Everywhere you went, he had a lingering small talk conversation.
It's so true. This
And I
is why
remember my
Julie
kids just thinking, "Oh, why are we talking to these people? Why do they know so much about us?"
that's why Julie mentioned already she probably lost more than half of all of her interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that you find out little things about people. It makes things interesting. I don't know. I'll remember for a long time that particular conversation.
Yes.
Well, and if she had thought it was intrusive, she just wouldn't have answered you. You would have been able to tell if she was uncomfortable with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, kind of funny. I mean, you were talking about different generations, Mindy. Different generations listening to
Yes.
our podcast are probably going to be like, no, no lingering small talk.
Right. And the other half is
They'll
like,
get there.
"Yes,
They'll
I
get
love
there.
what you're talking about."
But there is a flip side because I do the garage sales twice a year, and my parents like to come one of the times that I do them. And I will go around and do my main garage selling before I go with them because I know that when I do the garage selling with them, I'm not going to get to see as much because everywhere we go, they're going to have
Mhm.
a conversation about what they're buying, who lives there, where'd you get this? Oh, we used to live there. Like, and sometimes I'll have to say, like, I'll like make the motion, like wrap it up with my hands because I want to see some
Mhm.
more garage sales, and we won't ever get to any if we spend all our time
True.
talking to these people.
It's so true.
We really are in the middle.
Yes. I was thinking about garage sales. You don't see them like you used to. Like Bryce and I, when we were newlyweds, we would go garage selling like every Saturday morning. It was one of our fun things to do. Well, now, like my kids, it's only Facebook Marketplace or they will go to thrift stores, like certain thrift stores or consignment stores. But I mean, maybe they garage sold when they were little, but they're not garage selling.
Yeah.
Like, garage sales in general, this is a human interaction, going to somebody's house, I mean, that might feel so intrusive. Now, like, having a personal conversation, it's different.
Well, yeah, because it's porch pickup. It's not even
Yes,
like, "Oh, let's talk to the people." It's, "No, just leave it on the porch," and,
that's
you know.
right.
And I get it for
Right.
safety reasons. I
Yeah.
can see that, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I notice my daughter does do Target pickups and Walmart pickups and she does do that, but I know that now her kid's favorite thing to do is they go to Costco every Saturday morning.
Mm.
And the kids right in the basket and get all the
Oh.
samples. In
Oh.
fact, Liam's birthday was coming up, and I said, "What should we, make the theme for his party?" Because we were gonna have a party here. And I jokingly said, "We could have a Costco party."
Yeah.
Like, he likes it that
That
much
is
that
adorable.
yeah, that he loves Costco. So I'm glad that they're still strolling in through the store and talking to people.
Oh, I think that's what Bryce and I are gonna do now that we're empty nesting. We need to go to
Oh,
Costco.
we talked about how,
Okay.
that use of automation and AI may kind of weaken some of these skills. Well, one that I've noticed is I use my GPS maps, Apple Maps for everything. I've
Uh,
even
Mhm.
started just
mhm.
plugging in places, like I'm going to Trader Joe's, plug it in. Not because I don't know how to get there, but I kind of want to know if there's some traffic or
Right.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I just do that, and I've noticed that it's kind of made me not so great at navigating anymore. I find myself
Mm.
getting kind of lost or
Mm.
where am I?
Oh.
So, I think dependence on things can make you lose some of your skills,
Mm.
I never
just
had
just
any
like social
map
skills.
skills to begin with, so it's actually a huge help to me in my life. But if I had ever been able to read a map, I could see how it would lessen that
But if you
ability.
take it away, like one day your phone's not working, it's like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah. So at the end of this 7-day challenge, they just said, at the end of each day, reflect by saying, did opting for the human interaction take more time? And if so, was it worth the feeling of connection? And the second question is, did my mood change after the encounter? And I would like to add, did their mood change?
Mm.
Mhm.
That maybe you impacted somebody else.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I
that's
think
great. I
I think if there's yes to those, if you have yes to those questions, if you answer yes, that it'll really make you think about the power of the interaction and help you
Mhm.
to want to do more.
Mhm.
Right. That's a great list. I love that challenge, and I'm glad you found that and could read that to us.
Listeners, we would love to know what you think about how AI is affecting our weak ties, if you try to strengthen yours, or if you've noticed that yours have kind of gone away. Come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of the good old baked potato, and I'm making it completely differently. So it's brand new again. I was noticing that I always baked my potatoes. I would wrap them in aluminum foil and I would bake them that way. Well, I would go to restaurants and I'm like, wow, why is the skin so good? Because I actually love the skin on a baked potato.
Mhm.
And so I finally had the brain space to look up how do you do that? And this is my I'm a fan because literally I was so excited at how amazing my baked potatoes now taste. And so skip the foil, you wash the potato, you use a fork and you poke about 6 times all around the potato. Then you dry it and then you smother it, well, or at least wrap it in olive oil and then you use kosher salt and you sprinkle kosher salt all over. You place the potatoes on parchment paper and you cook them in the oven, about 400 degrees for about an hour. So then when they're done, the directions literally said split the top in the middle and then push the sides together. Okay?
Oh, okay.
This is when I started cheering because I I split the potato open after I'd done all this. I pushed the sides together and it like kind of pops a little bit. And
Oh.
they were such beautiful potatoes. The skin was so good. It was total restaurant quality baked potatoes.
Yeah.
So, if you are a potato lover like I am, this was a complete change overhaul and they just taste so much better.
Oh,
So, I'm a
good.
fan.
I mean, I
I
like baked
love the
potatoes, but
skin.
I never think of making them.
Yes.
Oh, we
Yeah.
had them last night.
There is a difference in how you make them. I now
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of a TV show called Death in Paradise, and it's on Prime, maybe BritBox. But it's a very lighthearted. It's a British crime, but it's comedy crime, and it takes place on this small Caribbean island. And they send this detective who's from Britain. He's kind of a fish out of water guy. Like he's real stiff and straight, and he loves tea, and he wears a suit. And everybody is, it's like 100 degrees all the time, and they're always in island clothes, but he insists on wearing his suit. And so he's always complaining about the heat, and he doesn't like anything about the island. He's just there for work. And I think it's kind of a French island, so there's a detective that's French, and so there's this banter that goes between he and the detective because he's English. There's like an English-French banter, so it's really cute, really funny. It's kind of like watching Monk. There's just a new murder every week, and it's
Ooh,
just
sounds
uh,
awesome.
not like a big thread that goes through it all. It's just lighthearted. So I like shows like that. I think it has a bunch of seasons.
Oh,
Just like a
good.
good, reliable show at night. You can just
Yeah. It's
go
gonna be
through an episode
interesting,
and
but
yeah,
not keep you
yeah,
from falling asleep.
it's cute.
All
Yeah.
right. This week, I'm a fan of non-toxic dishwasher detergent. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think I brought one up maybe like a year ago, but it was pods. And I think, Julie, you had said, but I would really like to be able to find a powder.
Or without the plastic. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
right.
because the
Mhm.
pods have the plastic and you really wanted to find something without the plastic. And so this was something that my daughter-in-law recommended to me. And so it's called Truly Free. That's the company, Truly Free Home, I think. And then it's non-toxic dishwasher detergent. And I am very picky about my dishwasher. It must work. It must work on the
Mhm.
first time you wash the dishes, and I must not have to basically clean them before I put them in. So if I'm recommending something, it works with all of those parameters. It actually does still clean the dishes because I normally only use the finished pods because that's what the boss recommended. But I was thinking about that plastic every single time. So I bought one bag of this powder to see if it would work, and it really does. So anyways, I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to try it out. And I think you might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's good to know. I'm seeing they have laundry
Yes.
detergent too.
They do. And she uses the
Mhm.
laundry soap, and I'm not sure what else. I haven't tried the laundry soap, but since I like the dishwasher soap, I should try it.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
It's the thing that the younger generation is introducing, non-toxic products.
I love it.
We'll introduce the lingering small talk, and they'll introduce the non-toxic products.
That's right.
We'll tell everybody we know about the
We
dishwashing pod. Anyone who will listen.
That's right.
All right, Julie, Mindy, I enjoyed this conversation, and we will talk with you next week.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.